All right, so welcome to another workshop. I titled it Welcome to PTCAS. We're just going to be discussing the overall basics of PTCAS. I'm going to do like a little personal tutorial of going through like my PTCAS just so y'all can like actually see it and see like what it looks like and just what to expect and everything. So like all the other workshops, if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to just speak up. I'm unable to look at the chat and then also like navigate. So it's better if y'all speak up. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. So let's get started. So let's break it down. So PTCAS, this is kind of what the home screen looks like. I screenshotted it from my profile. So it has this personal information, the academic, and all of that. So I'm going to break it down for each of the things we're going to do. And I'm going to talk about like briefly about all the different information that's going to be included within the personal information, academic history, supporting information, and program materials. So first off, we're going to start with the personal information section. So in this section, this is going to be like your basic information about yourself. You're going to have like your biography, like your birthday, your address, if you're a citizen of the United States, your race, ethnicity. It's going to ask briefly about your parent/guardian status. So I think they mainly asked about like what level of education they did, just simple things like that. Some brief economic education environment. So like if you were employed or anything, they're going to want to know like your income of all that. They're going to want to ask about your high school information. And then this is also your opportunity to state if you're bilingual. So if you don't just speak English, if English isn't your first language, this is where you would also put that information. And then if you previously served in the military, this is where you would put all that information. So this is the easiest section. I'm not sure, has anyone started making their application, or has anyone been working on it or submitted it by chance? No? Okay, yeah. So this is going to be like the easiest section, really simple question. So this is not stressful at all. I can only see stress coming with like the employment, your income. So my advice for y'all for this section is really just make sure you have all those basic documents on hand. So like your social security number, like your birth certificate, like any proof of like your income, like keep records of all that because you're going to need it for this section of PTCAS. Okay, next we have our academic history. So this part, I will say, can be very frustrating when it comes to transcripts. I advise all of y'all before, like when you know you're going to apply to PT school, like 6 months out, a year out, order your transcripts, like just have it ready. This is probably the most frustrating part because a lot of people think it's just where you're getting your undergrad. So for our case, a lot of people just get their UTSA transcript, but they want everything. So everything dating back to like high school credits that y'all took, like AP classes, dual credit, they want those as well. So just make sure you get ahead of that. Make sure you can still have access to those transcripts. For my case, in high school, I took classes through UT, and that was a pain trying to get it back. And, having like the login through the UT portal and everything, just make sure you have those on deck. I would get like 10 copies. I always had like two. I had 2 physical copies just so I could send it, one to PTCAS and then one extra one in case other schools want those additional transcripts. Because some schools will just use the transcripts that you put through PTCAS, but then others want like their separate own physical transcript from UTSA and then wherever you got the other college credit. So I advise you just to get on your transcripts, make sure you can access them, make sure you have a physical copy yourself, and it'll just save a lot of time and stress. So that talks about kind of like submitting your transcripts. The second part with this is your transcript entry. So what you do, I would strongly advise you to mail a physical copy of your transcript to PTCAS because I've heard when you do it electronically, it causes a lot of complications. And it can get lost within like the PTCAS system. I would just advise when you order it through UTSA, ask for a physical copy and send it to the address of PTCAS headquarters, which you can find online. And then for this entry part, I'll show you it's a lot easier if I show you on my account, just so I can show everything, but you can either have your transcript automatically uploaded. PTCAS will do that for you. So it'll look at someone will look at your transcript and physically put in all the different classes that you took and all the grades and like what semester and everything. Or you can do it yourself. I would advise everyone to do it yourself, just because if you have PTCAS do it automatically, there is like an additional charge to that. And then it's not guaranteed when it will be finished. So if you want to make sure everything on this portion is finished and you know for sure, literally just grab your transcript and just upload it. And oh, hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, all you have to do is upload it and it'll be a lot better because you'll know that it's already submitted and everything. So all you have to do is put in like the course number, so like kin, whatever it is, and then what grade you got in it. And it's super easy. It does take like maybe 15 minutes, but it's nothing hard. I know it's really tempting to just have the system do it, but doing it yourself will just ensure that it's already done. You don't have to worry. You don't have to check to see if it's there. And then the third part of this section is the standardized tests. So your GRE scores and then AP scores. So this is where you're going to put that score you get on the GRE. It's just really simple. You just put like 150 or like 155 for your verbal, and then your for your math, and then like your writing score. And then what they don't tell you for this is that you also have to make sure you send your GRE scores to the school that you're applying to. So you physically put in your GRE scores through the academic history, but then you also want to make sure through the ets.org, which is the GRE website, that you submit those individual scores to the schools you're applying to. So it's like I said, it gets complicated. It's like one thing on top of the other. You think PTCAS is just going to be straight, but there's a lot of different things that you'll have to do outside of it. But I'll go deeper into that as we get through, as I go through my personal PTCAS. Okay, so supporting information. So this is where you're going to put like all the glitter, all the gold, all the decorations on your PTCAS application. This is going to be your observation hours, your experiences, your achievements, any licenses or certifications. And then this is also where you're going to submit your essay. Okay, so starting with observation hours, there's a lot of different questions on how we confirm like these hours. So there are two different options that PTCAS offers. One is uploading a document of a picture of a sheet of, signatures from wherever you observe at, and then like their name, their email, and then just their signature and the dates. You can do that way. Or you can provide the email of the supervisor that you observed at. So the PT clinic, just you put in the email of the supervisor that was there at that clinic, and then PTCAS is going to send an email confirmation to that email and have them confirm like, yes, so-and-so did 20 hours at my clinic. This is like, right, blah, blah, blah. So it's really up to you. I personally would suggest getting just a sheet. We have a great sheet template on our website of observation hours, and it's really easy. Just date it, have them sign it, super good. Just keep that document, take a picture of it, and upload it. But like I said, it is possible just to do the email the supervisor to confirm the hours. The only downside to that is that the person might forget that you even came to their clinic. So really just remember this as you're doing your observation hours, because this is a crucial part of our application. They want to know how you went out of your shell, how you got some experience, got to observe in clinic. So just remember, you can either take a picture of a physical sheet, or you can later have PTCAS send an email to your supervisor of these observation hours to confirm that you did these. So just remember the downsides of each. So physical copy, you got to keep track of that. Email, you got to rely on the supervisor to, one, remember you, and then to also follow up with you to make sure they confirm that email saying that you observed with them. Now for experiences, this is where you're going to put your volunteer, extracurricular, and research. So you're going to put any volunteer experiences you had, so like Kinetic Kids, or all the other different options that Julie has provided us, or any outside external things you've done with volunteer. You're also going to put your extracurricular. So this is where you could put like honors college. This is where you could put PT society, and then research. So this is where you're really gonna want to build up your profile. So everything is required. So observation hours, achievements, essay, but experiences and licenses, you don't need to have like anything. Like it's not required by PTCAS. So if you really want to one up your application, really focus on your experiences and maybe try to get a license and certification, because that will make you stand out as an applicant through PTCAS. So yes, experiences, you're just gonna put volunteer stuff, extracurricular, and your research involvement. Achievements, that's where you're gonna put like honor roll, dean's list, all that stuff, just dealing with your academics and everything. Pretty simple. And then, like I said, with licenses and certifications, this is where you could put like concussion training, BLS, first aid. Really try to get at least one. My advice for filling out PTCAS is make sure nothing is blank. So some things aren't required, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to have that. So like licenses and certifications, it's not like, oh, you need to have something. Like schools all want you to be BLS certified or first aid certified. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try to fill that in, because I feel like a full application is something I would consider in a candidate. So try to look into get certified or licensed in something, and I feel like that'll set you far apart from other candidates. Lastly, in this section is your essay. So this is the last, or this cycle's essay prompt. So it's talking about basically, why are you choosing physical therapy? This is going to be one of the most important things about the supporting information. This is where some schools will learn about you the most, because some schools do not hold interviews. So you'll want to make sure that this essay is something really well thought out, going to grab people's attention, and really just shows who you are as a person. So like kind of treat it like an interview, just in an essay style. And like I said in my 15 tips, like you want to go above and beyond. You want to make it engaging. You want to kind of show who you are just through words. And that's really hard to do, especially since there's also going to be a word count on this. And really solidify why you want to do physical therapy, and have that as the core of your essay, regardless if the prompt changes, because this is an application to get into PT school. And one of the biggest and most important questions that's going to be brought up consistently is, why do you want to be here? Like, why should we accept you into our program? So yeah, do we have any questions about the supporting information? I know that was a lot. Are we still good?
Yes. So on the observation hours, is it possible to do like a mixture of both? So like say you worked with one PT like a lot and they're gonna remember you, but there's like other PTs who you probably won't remember you because you only worked with them like 2 weeks. Can you do like a sheet for those physical therapists, but then do the email confirmation for the other?
Yes, so actually that's exactly what I did. I actually lost one of my sheets for one of the clinics. And so I had to email the person and be like, hey, like I just need confirmation that I completed these observation hours. And this is where it got a little stressful, because he wasn't responding and this was due very soon. And I just had to keep reaching out. But yes, it is possible. Just make sure that that person that you're going to email and have them confirm through, just to confirm, like they remember you. That's my only advice with that. But yeah, that's exactly what I did. It was really nice because I was freaking out because I lost my sheet and I didn't know how to prove it. But I like how they have the two different options with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I have a question too about the observation.
Okay.
So did you do the email route for like your PT tech job, and then like the sheet for like outside observations? Like were you just like logging your shifts on the log? Like I don't know what to do.
Okay, yeah. So okay, I observed at two different clinics. I observed at Momentum Physical Therapy and then the Texas Physical Therapy Specialist on Spurs Lane, so the sports clinic. And Texas Physical Therapy Specialist is really good. They should all have like the same procedure with volunteers and observers. They'll have a sheet, at least the one I did on Spurs Lane. They had a sheet and a binder, and you would just come in, like date it, and then have someone sign it at the end of the day. And then whenever you're done shadowing, you could just take that with you. So I really like that. But if you are planning on doing the sheet method, I would always just come to wherever you're observing and bring like just a simple little chart. Like you could print off the one that we have on our website just to have that and keep records. So kind of just like don't rely on someone else to have a sheet for you to document that. And then, yeah, for my job, I just did the email because he saw me every day. So I'm not an unfamiliar stranger emailing him. So I would recommend the clinic that you're going to stay at most and plan to be the most engaging, maybe kind of lean towards the email side, but then other clinics like that don't really allow that much observation. So say like a pediatric clinic or an inpatient clinic, I would recommend having a sheet for that. So it kind of just depends on what setting you're looking at and then how long you're planning on to observe and just volunteer there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Oh yeah, I had a quick question about the achievement section.
Okay.
So with the dean's list, do you know if it's possible, like admissions here at UTSA can pull that up, like each semester that you were on the dean list, or is that like information you would have to have already?
So okay, I will follow up with this just because I cannot remember off the top of my head, but I remember what I did. I actually looked at my transcript and I believe it said that, and then it should also say it on ASAP. So it's like scholarships and like awards and achievements and all that. But there is, I looked up what really is considered honor roll and dean's list because I was like filling out my application while like the grades weren't confirmed. And like I took all my GPAs for the semester and I found like in the range. So like honors roll is like 3.0 to 3.5 or something like that. And then dean's list is like a 3.75 and above. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll follow up on that because it took me a while to find like those documents and everything just to make sure it was a like lining up with my transcript. But I also did do like a search throughout my email. Like I just searched like honor roll or like dean's list and it like popped up. But I'll get back to you on that just because it did take me a while personally to find that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Let me check the chat real quick. Okay, yeah. So they show up in the unofficial transcript, so I'm assuming it will be on the official transcript. Yeah, I think it is. I just don't want to say it and just have everyone just like think that. I just want to make sure, but I'll follow up later in the group chat and just let y'all know because it can be a little confusing. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, awesome. All right, so letters of recommendation are also a part of this section, but there are some things you need to know about this. The letters of recommendation for the PTCAS application are due at a certain date. And this always changes, I think. Last cycles, all the letters of recommendation for your PTCAS application was due on June 2nd. So I recommend make sure before you apply and start your PTCAS application, you know who's going to write you a letter. Like have a list. So have a professor, have a physical therapist, have a supervisor, like ask them ahead, like, hey, I'm going to need a letter of recommendation for PT school. Like, would you be willing to write me one? All that, because this was really stressful because the individual applications for different programs are due at different dates, but all the letters through the PTCAS application are going to be due at one day. And once that date passed, you cannot add one. So really remember that. I'm not sure what the new date is, and I'm not sure if it stays the same, but for my application, everything was due at June 2nd, like all the letters. So like I said in my 15 tips, the Holy Trinity, physical therapist, a supervisor, and a professor, just have that in your head. Like if you have to be a teacher's pet in one class just to get a letter from a professor, do it. Like it's not bad. Like professors know that we're going to need to reach out to them, but they also want to make sure they're writing a very honest letter because this letter really matters. It's a very crucial part of your application. PT schools don't want to hear like, oh yeah, like they're a good student, they got an A, they showed up to my class. Like you really have to sell yourself to earn these letters because this is, in addition to your essay, this is going to show who you are as a person without even like meeting you. Does anyone have any questions about that? I'm not sure if that was a little confusing. Good. Okay, yeah. So just if you're planning on to apply, just look at once you make your PTCAS application, it'll say with the letters of reference when they're going to be due. So yeah, really just make a solid list of who you're going to ask for letters of recommendation, and it should be okay. Just remember that that's going to be due first before the whole application. Okay, so here are some tips to knock out this section just because it is a lot. So keep physical records of observation hours just so you don't have to have that little panic of, oh my gosh, do they remember me? It's reliable. You don't have to reach out to them again. And you don't have to rely on someone else's response to make sure you get this out of the way. Have a lot of experiences. Like I said, this isn't a required section. Like you don't have to have an experience, but like I said, it's going to improve your application. It's going to make it a lot bulkier instead of just kind of like, oh, like they're missing this part. Like they don't have anything for this part. So I made a list of the Fantastic Four. Get some research. You can volunteer, be a subject in research, or even try to help a professor conduct research. Either one, like just be exposed to how the research procedure works. And all I did was I was just a volunteer for a research lab. I wasn't actually helping like the professor go through everything. I was just there like helping take measurements, helping like conduct the flow of things. And I already have like a general sense of how things are run. Like just make sure you have exposed yourself to a research field somehow. Volunteer. Make sure it's something physical therapy related. Like volunteering at a soup kitchen is really good, but how is that showing like your involvement in your commitment to the community, the physical therapy community, and just kind of exposing you to more different things. So like Kinetic Kids, the Satellite Ranch, all those things, Morgan's Wonderland, really great opportunities there to volunteer and kind of just surround yourself in the physical therapy world and give back to that community. Employment. So I know it's kind of hard for everyone to get a tech job. I know some people that apply to physical therapy school have never gotten a tech job. But like, I forgot, I think it was one of the workshops we had, it's important to show where you've worked. So if you were only a server, if you only did retail, like put that in here. Like it's not a tech job, but it just shows people that were able to communicate with people, you were able to engage with people, that you know how to deal with different types of people. Like I know some people may not think that being, I don't know, a Chick-fil-A worker is going to make them stand out on this application, but it's more than the occupation. It's more about what you learn from that occupation. And a lot of schools really look into that because it does help a lot show how you are as a person and how you kind of interact with other people like customers or shoppers and all that. So don't be afraid to put that down, even if you don't have a technician job. Like technicians, like that's great. You get a lot of experience, you get to learn a lot, you got a lot of insights, but other occupations are just as important just because it shows you as a person and what you've learned to get here. And finally, extracurricular, the society. Like this is probably your best bet. Like I know so many people that I've met in my classes that are not part of the society. And it's frustrating because this is such a great opportunity for you to learn more about the occupation as a physical therapist, and then like get to know people who also want to be physical therapists. Like these workshops, the volunteer, the fundraising, the socials, like that is just showing that you are really for this. Like you are committed to this. Like you want to surround yourself with people that are passionate for the same things you are. It makes a big difference just to be part of something and not just be someone that goes to school, get their degree, and kind of just try to do everything alone. Like schools do care about involvement outside the school, like outside the community, and then like within the community. So really just try to get those 4: research, volunteer, employment, and extracurricular. And I can guarantee you it's going to look really impressive that you have 4 different realms of experience on your application. Number 3, just get certified in something. Like I said, we don't want to have empty parts of our application. We want to stand out. And like I said, it's really easy to get BLS, CPR, and first aid certified. It's like an online course, super easy. Like some of them are, I don't know how much they cost, but it's not even that expensive. Like just get that and it's already going to make you stand out. Any questions on this one?
When you enter your experiences, do you just like put what you did, or do you like describe it as well in the application?
I'll show y'all like everything in depth. It's really complicated and I don't want to like say a lot of things and like you can't really picture in your head, but I'll make sure to like show how everything's laid out on PTCAS. But you do provide like a little brief description. It's kind of like a resume sort of, but yeah, I'll show you. Okay, are we still good? Okay, awesome. I know this is a lot. It was very overwhelming. I think I cried 4 times trying to do my PTCAS application. All right, so program materials. This section is not important right now. So this is going to be inaccessible. So until the PT school programs opens their applications, you can't really do anything here. This is where you're going to like input the schools that you're interested in, and it's going to search and it's going to pop up, and then you're going to be like, yeah, like apply. So for this section, I would just advise make a solid list of what schools you want to apply to. And that's kind of it, because you can't really do anything with this until the cycle opens and everything. So just make a list of the schools you're interested in. Okay, this is where it gets really bad. So once the cycle opens, then it's just a whole lot more. Like you think you're done and you're like, oh, like all I gotta do is search the programs that I want to go to. Yeah, that's what I thought. But once you open and like add the different programs you want, there are like separate individual applications for each school. It's exhausting. So this comes with more letters of recommendation. I'll talk more about that, but you can reuse the same references that you use for the PTCAS application. So like those same ones that are due at a certain date, you can reuse those because and some schools also require specific letters. So they want like 2 from a PT, like no supervisor, no professor. So that's where you're gonna have to do some research about like what exactly schools want. But just keep in mind that stay in contact with your people that you get letters of recommendation from, because this is where communication is going to be really important, and it's also going to be very frustrating. But I'll dive into that in a later slide to explain that. There's also going to be more essays and more questions within each program. So I applied to 8 schools, and every school had different questions. So one was like, oh, like reflect on our mission statement. What do you think about that? Like, how are you as a candidate going to reflect and like show our mission statement if you were going to attend our school? And then another one's like, oh, like tell me about your life. Like it's so different. They're all very different. So just be ready to write a lot of essays, and it's very tiring. And it's just over and over again. And then the prereqs for their program. So like I mentioned before, there's going to be a transcript entry that you do for PTCAS. You're going to take those classes that you inputted through PTCAS and match it to the prereqs that each program is requiring. I don't know, does that make sense? So like if they ask for like an anatomy class, you would put like, oh, anatomy 1, 2, anatomy 1 lab, anatomy 2 lab, and like match it with that prereq for that program. This is going to be the longest part of the application process because you can't even start it until the programs open their applications. So I'm gonna dive into it a little more, and when I go through my account. But does anyone have any questions so far of what I'm talking about right here? No? Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is how to survive this part. So I would suggest, this is what I did, and it was very helpful. So like I said, each program is going to have a separate list of essays and like little short questions that you're going to have to answer. I'm also going to show you what I did, like my doc and everything, but I made a big Google Doc, made like a title of all the schools, and then just made a list of all the questions, and then like put the word count right there. And then I would just fill it out as I go, and just made sure I had like every single essay ready to submit for the school, and just have a document so I could edit it and not get scared that I accidentally submit something in PTCAS. It keeps track of everything, and then it also kind of acts as like a checklist, like, oh, I didn't answer a question for this school. And then it also helped me with my character count, like, oh, I'm like 500 characters over, I got to narrow it down. But I'll show you kind of an example I know it might be a little hard to picture, but I'll show you exactly like my PDF of everything. But that kind of kept me in line of like, hey, I have a lot of essays to write. To reach out to your references. So like I was saying about the PTCAS references, keep them in contact with you, because for this part, every school is going to send a formal kind of like invitation for a letter of recommendation. So if you're going to use the same physical therapist for all your letters of recommendations for each of the different programs, say you apply to 6 and you're going to use them for 6 different schools. They're going to get 6 separate emails saying like, oh, like, are you going to write a letter of recommendation for this person? Are you going to write a letter of recommendation for this person? You have to warn the people you're asking for letters of recommendation, be like, hey, I'm planning on applying to 6 different schools. Please keep a copy of the letter. Like, I'm just gonna have you like confirm this email and just send it back to them, but like, don't lose my letter. Exactly. Like, kind of tell them like, I'm gonna need that letter over and over again. If you could please like just save it. So just make sure the people that you're getting these letters from, you have a good relationship with them, because this part's very crucial. It's going to be annoying kind of getting spammed with like, oh, like they want a letter, they need a letter, PTCAS needs a letter, blah blah blah. Yeah, does that make sense? I don't know if I explained that very well. Does anyone have any questions about the letters for this part? All right. Number 3, order an official transcript for yourself. So I ordered a physical transcript just because I have a lot of stuff on my computer. You can also have one on your computer, but just make sure you have it. So when you're matching your prereqs to the classes you did through PTCAS, like it's just easier to see everything. And it's easier to reference back for your correct course number, and then reference for like the accurate grade letter and everything. So just have one for yourself in addition to the other ones that you're going to need for different schools. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing this. And let me see. Oh my goodness. Give me 1 second, guys. Does anyone have any questions as I'm trying to switch the screen? No? Any questions right now? Okay, let me pull up this. So, okay, can y'all see this? Do y'all see the
Yes.
PTCAS? Okay, awesome. Let me log in real quick. All right. So like I said, this is what it's going to look like. So you have the 4 different sections here. So I'm just going to briefly go through them. But here's like the personal information section. So it's going to have like your release statement, all these different questions, like just kind of like I certify as required, like kind of like the terms and conditions, basically. Really simple. Biographic information, so just your name, different names like your gender, your sex, your preferred pronouns, all that, your birth information. Contact information is just like your address and then your phone number. Citizenship, it's gonna basically ask, are you a citizen? Do you live here? Do you have a visa? Race and ethnicity, this is where you're just gonna put your race and everything, fairly simple. Parent and guardian, I just put my parents' name and like their relationship to me, so my mom and dad. Economic, educational, environmental, so this is going to be like your family income and everything that you're going to put, and then just like childhood residency, if you were ever homeless in any point of your life. And then other information is just going to be, like I said, it's going to be like the language preference. So what was your first language? English. Were you in the military? Like blah blah blah. This is like if you were ever caught like cheating and stuff, if you had any academic problems while in college, like any arrests or any probations and everything. And then you're going to have like your social security. And then this was just a COVID-19 thing. I didn't fill it out, but just because I don't think it really affected me as much as I don't know. I felt like I couldn't answer it because I didn't feel very honest if I said it affected me in a way. But yeah, so it's just talking about if you have a physical therapist assistant education, if you have previously applied and everything. So very simple right here. And that's going to be your personal information right there. Moving on to academic history. So this is where you're going to put the colleges you attended. There's like a separate little tab. It's going to have like, you can just put different ones. So I put like UTSA, and then I put UT Austin for the classes I took. And this is where you're going to order those transcripts. So as you can see, it's transcript type, official transcript, and then it's going to say like, we received it. Official transcript received right here. You'll just have to go to UTSA's place, and then wherever you did your other credits and everything, and then you're going to order it and then give that college the information for PTCAS. And you can look it up, and if you're going to do a physical copy, they have the address for the PTCAS headquarters, and then if you do an email, they're going to provide you like with an email and all that. So transcript entry. So this is what I was talking about. I don't know if I can look at it, but basically I had to fill in different transcripts for each one. So I had to do a separate one for UT Austin, and I put like the course number, the grade, and like when I took it, and then also UTSA's the same thing. Let me see. Yeah, so as you can see, don't judge my grades, please. So it divides up into different semesters. So this is like fall 2019. You put the course code, the course title, the subject, and then like the credits, and then your grade and everything. And you do that for every single semester that you've completed. And then right here, this is like, I applied last summer, so I wasn't a senior yet, and it wasn't the fall semester right now. So these were my senior is in progress classes. And then for this one, if you're going to apply earlier before you graduate, you would just put like the credits, the subject, the course title, the course code, and then it'll have like in progress and everything. Yes, and then right here, this is like the separate universities that I applied to. So the prereqs they require here, it has like all the different ones for each school, which is very nice. And then standardized tests. So this is where you're going to put your GRE score. You can put multiple scores. Some schools do a super score. So they'll take your best verbal and your best math score and combine it together to get like your overall score. So that's what I did, because one test I got kind of like a low reading, but the next one I got a higher one. But my first test I got a better math, so then I super scored with that. So this is where you're going to input it here. And then like if you took these other ones, that's where you would put it as well. So that goes with academic history. Do we have any questions so far? Good. Okay, awesome. So supporting information. So this is the observation hours. So as you can see right here, one of these I had a picture, and I think it was this one. Yeah, so my Texas physical therapy one, that one was a picture, but I don't want to mess up my thing. But basically you would add observation hours, you would put the facility, you'd put like the dates, and then you choose electronically upload or like do a PDF, like a picture, and upload it, and then it will just say completed. So for the Texas physical therapy specialist one, I had to send an email saying like, can you confirm this? And the status was kind of like, it didn't say completed basically, but I had to keep checking to make sure. And eventually once they get back to you and do fill out that email, it will change to completed. So this is just a really nice way to make sure that you have all those hours and everything. So experiences, this is what it looks like. Following up on that question. So you just basically put like what type of experience it is: research, employment, volunteer. You put the organization. So University of Texas at San Antonio Kinesiology Department. That's what I did research with. Kinetic Kids, the Pre-Physical Therapy Society, and Texas Physical Therapy Specialist. And then you kind of put like the dates you were involved there, and then like your title. And that's basically it. yeah. But of course, like that's gonna reference back to your resume and everything. And then also it's gonna, yeah, like they're basically like taking your word for it. So don't lie about this part, and like they're gonna probably ask you about it. So make sure you have like a solid way you can talk about each of these things, like my involvement with research, my involvement as a technician, as a volunteer, and like my participation in the society and all that. So these are the achievements. You basically just put Dean's List, honor roll, Dean's List, honor roll, at UTSA, and then basically what day, like it kind of went off semester. So I just put like the end of the semester. So the end of spring semester, the end of fall semester, and all that. Nothing too bad. And then license, this is where you'll put it. You just put it and then you'll upload a PDF of that. Just confirming that you do have this license or certification. And then essay, this is what it looks like. It just has the question, and then you'll just type or paste whatever you have, and it just looks like that, and you'll just put save and continue. Super simple. They do have the word count in the bottom right corner. So I had 3,881 characters out of 4,500, and then it counts 659 words. So you can just like type and like save, and then it'll show everything, but I would recommend typing it somewhere else just so you don't lose it or accidentally submit it. Okay, so that is the supporting information. So this is the program materials. So these are all the schools that I applied to. So once you add a program to your PTCAS application, it's going to show like a list like this of all the different schools. So this is where I said the nightmare happens, because when you click it, you have 4 different sections to do for each of these. So this is San Angelo's. So I had these questions, like this one's very nice. As you can see, they were very short and simple with their questions. But this is where the references come. So these are my references and everything. They have always a requirement, so a minimum, but they also have like a maximum. So I had 4, even though only 3 were required. The more the merrier. But it's basically going to have your reference, and then when you requested it, and then when they completed it. So this is where communication is very crucial with your people that you're asking letters from, because you want to make sure that they complete it, they don't forget about you. I did have a situation where one of my references never saw my email and submitted it way past some of the dates that some of my applications were due. So I could only use their letter for like 1 or 2 schools, which was very frustrating. So this is why I say, make sure you solidify like a due date you want the letters by, make sure you have a solid relationship with these people you're asking letters from, and just stay in constant communication with them. And then here's like their prereqs. So this is where you're going to match your classes that you took to the school's prereqs. So like anatomy, I put like human anatomy, blah, blah, put my grade. And it has everything lined up for you, and all you have to do is match whatever you did to fill in these. And then there is an option if you're not sure if you have something for it. It's like basically saying like, I'm not sure, like I don't know. And regardless, the school is going to have your transcript. So yeah, don't worry about that. Let me see. I'm gonna look at, okay, here's El Paso's application. I'm going to show y'all what most of the applications I did have. So this is, yeah, so these are like some of the questions you'll have. So some of them are really simple. Are you reapplying? Like, no. But then they'll have these like specific little essay questions, like if admitted to our program, describe how you contribute to the mission of the University of Texas El Paso Doctor of Physical Therapy program. And then you fill it out. Like, that's an essay right there. Like, you can't just put a sentence. They want to know how you're going to contribute to their program and all that. And then like, here's UT Health. So let me see, questions. So it's like the same thing. Like, what motivates you to become a physical therapist? They're all different. Like Texas State has some too. Describe a personal or professional challenge and how you managed it. So this is what I'm saying. Make sure you're ready to write more. Like, it's not going to end. You really have to sell yourself at this point. So with that, after you're done with like all these different things, like your questions, references, prereqs, you're gonna come and like submit your application, and this is what it's gonna look like. So it'll have kind of like what is it, like a completion bar. So some of them will be like, oh, you've completed it, like you're able to submit this. And then you'll just hit like submit, and then it'll have this green little check mark on the side, just making sure that it was completed. It's also gonna say like when you paid for the application fee. So it has all my payments there, like even the time. And then it also shows the deadline. So if you're in the process of applying to a program, it's going to remind you, hey, like this is due September 15th, like Angela states right here. It's due in September 15th. So make sure you get this one done. So that just kind of helps with prioritizing which applications you want done first. So as you can see, all the different schools have different due dates. So like UT Health was October 3rd, Texas Women's October 17th, like this one in Oregon, November 1st. Like they're all very different, but it also helps with managing where exactly you want to get your application in first. So, and then over here, you can check your status. So as you can see from my PTCAS one, all my transcripts have arrived, references requested, accepted, and completed. My standardized test, they received 9. Observation hours requested, accepted, completed. They're very good. Like all my applications were verified. So this just shows that, hey, like we got everything we needed from you. Like you are okay. And that's what you want to see at the end. Let me show y'all my little PDF that I did for the essays, just because that last part is horrendous. Let me share this. Okay, can y'all see this real quick? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So this is what I was talking about with organizing all those like different essay prompts. So this is like Pacific University, 1 essay and 1 optional essay. So I wrote exactly what I needed for each school. So I would put the prompt, I would put the character count, and then I would just type. And then I would put the second one, type. And then Texas State, put the prompt, type. It's really easy, and it kept everything really put together and acted as like a physical checklist for my things. So like this is Texas Women's, the character, like the max amount of characters I had, type. That's what I did for every single thing. And it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And like over here for incarnate words, I also put like little notes that help me kind of formulate my essays and everything. But yeah, basically I would just put the prompt, the character count, when I edited it last, like how many characters I actually have, like any notes if I needed. Yeah, this is some research I did for one. But yeah, like that worked for me. It might not work for you. It just kind of depends, but that's the advice I have to kind of get that part out of the way. What else? But other than that, I know that's like a lot of information and I was trying to simplify it to the best of my abilities, but do y'all have any questions on like any of the topics right there? Because I know it was a lot of information. So any questions with that? No?
I have a question.
Okay, what's up?
For the volunteer hours, do they need to be like signed off by like somebody, or do they not ask for that?
Volunteer, I actually did not need like a signature for it. I would definitely still get them just to kind of have like a more solidified number of like how many hours you did. And then like if something changes, if it's different next cycle, just to have that proof. And like it's good documentation regardless. Like you might need it for like, who knows, like if you don't do physical therapy school, you might need it for something else. Like just always have it. But as far as the application, like I did not need like proof that I volunteered. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Does anyone else have any questions?
When you say cycle, is it like it happens once a year? Like the it'll open and then close, or I don't know.
Yeah, okay. The cycles honestly confuse me a lot because they start for my cycle, it opened June 15th, and then it closes whenever the programs like that's the last applications they receive. So it changes every year, I think. And then like also the submission date's different every year. So you just kind of have to, I guess you could look it up like right now and see like when is the next when is PTCAS open. But then like some programs don't open till later, but there's always like a generic like date for most of them to open. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? No?
How expensive was it?
Oh, okay. Honestly, I did not think I was expecting like ridiculous amounts because my original plan was to apply to 12 schools. And then as soon as I saw that you have to do all that extra work for each school, I said, I'm gonna do less than that because it's a lot. But I think my first round, I submitted 4 at the same time and it came out to about $200. So like most applications kind of average around like $50 to like $75. But I will let y'all know that some schools have you submit an application fee through PTCAS, like that application fee, and then we'll also request a supplemental one. So like another one. So I think Texas State did that. I believe UT did, and then a couple schools did. So you just have to know that you're going to be spending money to submit your application through PTCAS, but then you're also might have to do more for whatever school you choose. Yeah, but honestly, not that bad. Most of the PTCAS ones average about like $50. Yeah. Any other questions? No, you guys are ready to tackle PTCAS and
Wait, I got one.
Okay.
Anthony, you
Oh,
got
no, Matt, you were first. Go ahead.
All right. So if we're graduating like this semester, like what do you think should we be working on like right now? Should we make like the PTCAS like profile like today kind of thing, or what should we be working on like right now?
Okay, so what I did, I started my application last fall semester. Because you can make an account whenever you want, you can start making it, but once like the new year starts, it kind of like erases everything you've done, but like it doesn't erase it. It kind of just like asks like, do you want this to like re-upload kind of? And then you put like yes, and then all your stuff comes back. So you can start it whenever you want. Just like once the year ends or like the cycle ends, it's gonna, like I said, erase your stuff. But obviously if you're still working on it, you can reinstate it. You just have to like confirm and everything. But it's kind of like personal preference because like if you're the type that like needs to get ahead, like needs to start it, or the person that wants to get it all done like in the same like month or whatever, it's up to you. My advice is to start it because it's gonna be a lot, especially depending on how many schools you're applying to. Like if you're applying to one, like you can start it now, but like you're applying to one school, it's not gonna be too bad. But if you're applying to like 5 or 7, like probably get started on just getting like that general information. So like supporting your academic stuff and like your just biographic stuff, like the easy stuff. Just because it's going to kind of stop you from the actual process of it. So like once the program's open, that's like a whole separate application. So if you get everything that you can get done before, it's going to save a lot of time. And then it also depends how early you want to submit your application. For most schools, the earlier the better. Incarnate Word got back with me in like 2 weeks after I submitted it. So if you want to get ahead of the game, ahead of a lot of applicants, try to submit it as early as possible. But like I said, it's that second part of when the program opens that's going to really set you back or cause some delays. So it's really just personal preference. But I would advise just kind of get the easy stuff out of the way so you don't have to worry about it.
Cool, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So my question, Margaret, was so from when you created your PTCAS account to when you had everything wrapped up, like what was the timeline? How long did it take you?
Okay. So I had everything done. I started it, I think, in November. So November 2021. And then I had all my like stuff done, I think March of 2021. And then I was just waiting for the applications to open. And once it opened June 15th. My plan was to submit it all in like a week. So that next week. I didn't submit everything until like July 20th. It took like a month and a half or like a month right there to just get everything together. So I had everything ready, but like I said, for me to submit like a really high quality application to these separate programs, like editing stuff, revising stuff, making sure like I have enough research, enough like just personal stories to back up me as an applicant, that just took a lot longer than I expected.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
really, yeah, it just kind of focuses on how much work you put into the application, because I could have BS'd it and been done like in the week that I wanted. But like I said, these questions are for schools to get to know you and kind of see like, yeah, like I want them in my program. So yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right, let me send the sign in real quick. I'm gonna stop recording as well.